organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Reading levels are down and one center is trying to change that.
And tuition is staying put here at the University of Iowa, but what about other state schools?
Field hockey head coach Lisa Salucci compliments her defense.
Find out who's being credited for a stellar backfield coming up in sports.
We have all that and more coming up.
You're watching Daily Iowan TV. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Sanchez.
And I'm Hannah Hawks.
Controversy over the Board of Regents' new UI presidential hire is still growing. Talk of a student and faculty protest on the Pentacrest has been gaining a lot of momentum. An email we received from one of our viewers says that there is a protest tentatively scheduled for tomorrow night on the Pentacrest. The protest is said to include moments of silence to represent voices not being heard in the presidential decision, faculty protesting in full regalia, and multiple speeches condemning the choice of making Bruce Harreld the university's president. Stick with Daily Iowan TV as this story develops.
For the first time in 40 years, the University of Iowa will be the cheapest public university in the state. And it's all thanks to our own student body president. At the last Board of Regents meeting on September 9th, tuition rose by 3% at the University of Northern Iowa and Iowa State University. Both student presidents from those two schools supported the increase. The rise in tuition will help fund their increasing enrollment rates. However, UI student body president Liz Mills says the University of Iowa doesn't have the same needs. Mills convinced the Board of Regents to change their original proposal and agreed to keep the UI's tuition freeze through the spring semester. The $85 difference between the three public schools is the largest gap in recent history.
My current team right now, we've worked so hard on making sure that tuition stays affordable, that we're advocating for all student needs and issues. And so this was just my chance to basically say what those are in front of the board.
A survey released by the Association of American Universities said that 1 out of every 10 students at Iowa State University has experienced some form of sexual misconduct. Iowa State is also under investigation by the U.S. Department of Education for civil rights after 19% of female students reported being sexually assaulted. This survey was nationwide, but the University of Iowa did not participate. The UI is planning on conducting their own survey and releasing the results to the public.
Pope Francis is officially in the United States. He landed at 4 p.m. on Tuesday and will be in the country for 6 days. Pope Francis will be advocating for his love for the poor and talking about the nation's social and economic problems. The White House will be hosting a welcome ceremony on the South Lawn for Pope Francis on Wednesday. While visiting, he will also address Congress and is hosting a religious service at the site of the 9/11 attack in New York City. This is the Pope's first time in the U.S.
After a 14-year-old boy, Ahmed Mohammed, was arrested for bringing a homemade clock to school last week, his father decided to take him out of MacArthur High School. Mohammed's teachers thought the clock was a bomb. Ahmed's father claimed that he is taking all of his children out of the school because they would no longer be happy there. He feared that it would trigger bad memories for his kids. Other schools have offered to take Ahmed, but his father says he will not be going back to public school anytime soon.
The U.S. Department of Justice has given $19.3 million in grants to police departments across the country to jumpstart their use of body cameras. Over 200 agencies that applied for the funding were denied. The grants will buy 21,000 cameras and will be given out to 73 agencies. Originally, only 50 grants were supposed to be given. The grants will also be used to study how well the body cameras have helped the officers.
On Sunday, September 27th, something will be happening in the sky that has only happened 5 times in the last 115 years. Between 9:15 and 10:23 p.m., if you look for the moon, you'll see something a bit different. A supermoon and lunar eclipse both occurring. A supermoon is when the moon comes the closest to the Earth in its orbit. This causes the moon to appear larger and a reddish color. Be on the lookout and tweet any pictures you have to @DITV News. If you miss the supermoon, you'll have a chance to watch in another 18 years. Well, Hannah, I'm no astronomy buff, but this sounds like a pretty neat occurrence.
Absolutely. I don't know the last time I've seen a moon like that. Well, let's toss it over to Andrew to see what the weather's going to be like for Sunday night.
Well, Megan and Hannah, tomorrow may be the first official day of fall, but the fall weather isn't fully here yet. Starting out on Wednesday morning, temperatures should be fall-like in the low 60s with partly cloudy skies. As the sun comes up, so will the heat as temps in the afternoon shoot up to the 80s. And during the evening, you can expect the temp to drop down just a bit into the mid-70s with clear skies. As for the rest of the week's forecast, Thursday should be almost identical to Wednesday with highs in the low 80s and lows in the upper 50s. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the sun should come out from behind the clouds, so expect the temperature to pick up just a little during the day, with highs for those days being in the 80s. But overall, perfect weather for the third game in Kinnick Stadium this season. And to start out your week on Monday, you can expect the sun to stay out with temps in the high 70 range. That's all I have for you in the weather studio. Back to you at the desk.
Well, we're looking forward to that sunny weather, Andrew. Reading is extremely important to a child's education, but in recent years, studies show reading proficiency is dropping in younger students. We are going to send it back to Andrew Roberts, who has the story of a new center on campus that is trying to change that.
Picking up a good old classic book for pleasure reading may serve as a problem for children in Iowa. Nearly 1 in 4 of Iowa's third grade public students failed to test proficiently in national reading assessments. Behind me is the new home for the Iowa Reading Research Center, which aims to ensure that all students can read well by the third grade. A new location and a new leader has given the Iowa Reading Research Center, or IRRC, the opportunity to provide the highest level of resources for reading to Iowa educators and families with children. Created in 2012 by state legislation, the IRRC moved into the Lindquist building in the UI College of Education last spring and announced Deborah Reed as the new director. She explains the center's purpose.
Our interest areas are in reading instruction, reading intervention, and reading assessment. Our work is designed to find the best practices to improve students' outcomes, to improve their reading proficiency so that they're achieving at high levels.
Reed says being in the heart of an extensive research university promotes collaborations with other research agencies. Beyond research, IRRC provides resources on their webpage for children K through 6 in the form of activities, articles, guides, and videos. Reporting from the Lindquist Center, I'm Andrew Roberts for Daily Iowan TV.
The Iowa Reading Research Center hopes that they can make a difference in changing reading instruction across the country.
A temporary tenant will be moving into the old Whitey's ice cream shop that has been vacant in downtown Iowa City. The nonprofit retail store 10,000 Villages will be setting up a shop October through December in the empty space. The store sells international items such as jewelry, scarves, kitchenware, and home accents. 10,000 Villages is attempting to raise $110,000 in order to find a permanent place in the area. This temporary location is expected to help meet that goal. The owner of the building, Mark Ginsberg, is still searching for a permanent tenant. He hopes to find something that will be unique to downtown Iowa City.
Check out a new club on campus. The UI Trans Alliance Group is here for Hawkeyes to work to create an accepting environment for transgender students. Their other goal is to advocate for transgender and non-binary rights here on campus as well as across the U.S.
Being a member in the Trans Alliance should really make it so that they have a safe space to come and be themselves. Somebody who is still hiding who they are, who doesn't feel comfortable being themselves, I'd say find a space where you can be who you are, because there are spaces at the University of Iowa where you can be yourself. And if you can find those spaces to be who you are, then that will help so much throughout the rest of your life and to make that progress towards being who you are everywhere, all the time.
As the weather gets colder, Starbucks lines get longer, but after introducing a new app, customers may not have to stand in line anymore. Starbucks announced early Tuesday that its new app is expanding, allowing customers to order ahead and pay for their drinks before they get to the shop. All you have to do is download the app, choose your location, select a drink, and pay for it. The app will give an estimated time your order will be ready, and when you arrive, you can pick up your drink and leave without having to wait in line. The app is available for use at over 7,000 Starbucks across the country.
Hannah, I'm definitely excited for that app. You know, waiting in those pesky lines can be tough, but I'm also excited for some Hawkeye football this weekend.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's toss it over to the sports studio to see what they have in everything Hawkeye sports.
It's Tuesday night on Daily Iowan TV Sports, which means Kirk Ferentz talks business with the media.
But before we get to that, we'll head to beautiful Grant Field.
Aggressive play may be a key component for teams when scoring goals, but for Iowa field hockey, the story is on the other end of the field.
After winning 4 games straight, field hockey reporter Jordan Maloney took a closer look at the key defense that's been leading these Hawkeyes to victory.
The 16th ranked University of Iowa field hockey team improved their record to 6-3 after putting up wins over Rutgers and Missouri State this past weekend at Grant Field. In their last 4 outings, the team has recorded 3 shutouts and 20 goals over their opponents, exemplifying the statement, "The best offense is a good defense." In their 9 games so far this season, the Hawkeye defense has only allowed their opponents 15 goals scored, averaging less than 2 goals scored against them per game. The team took on their first Big Ten opponent in Rutgers last Friday, September 18th, ultimately coming out on top, despite a tough battle on the field.
Big Ten play is always very physical and aggressive. Big Ten play is a lot different than out of conference. They're big physical girls in the Big Ten, so we need to make sure that we're really low posture, all kind of things like that.
When it comes to this powerhouse Hawkeye defense, their playmaking goalie has much to be recognized for. The starting goalie, Alexandra Pecora, has recorded 26 saves so far this season, leading Iowa to victory in many close matches. This shutout defense is led by senior Liz Lay, sophomore Veronique Delclerc, and junior Chandler Ackers, who have all contributed much more to the team than battling in front of their defending goal. The trio has added 11 goals to their team's record this season, 9 of which came off the stick of Chandler Ackers. But the team isn't satisfied yet. Starting out their Big Ten play with a 4-3 win, Iowa focuses on their matchup with Indiana this Friday, September 25th.
So it's really going to be a battle of who can keep what offense at bay, because they've scored a lot of goals just like we have. So I think it'll be a very even match, and it's going to be able to who can capitalize and then who can defend.
The team hopes to continue improving their defense as they look ahead this weekend to take on Indiana and Ball State. That's all for today from Grant Field. I'm Jordan Maloney with Daily Iowan TV Sports.
What a great start to their season. We'll see if they can continue that trek on the road this weekend.
Speaking of road games, it was a tough weekend for Iowa women's soccer.
They had no luck in the opening of Big Ten play when they lost to both Michigan and Michigan State.
There are plenty of conference games left, though, and there's no way this team is going to give in this quick.
Especially with the guidance of one player, and soccer reporter Katie Reber has the story.
Behind every successful team is a successful leader. The captain of this year's women's soccer team is proving to be quite a legendary leader. Approaching her 35th win to move past former Hawkeye Emily Moran as the winningest goalkeeper in Hawkeye history, Hannah Clark is focused on working as a team. I was able to catch up with Hannah Clark, who along with successfully leading her soccer squad, is also able to lead herself to some important milestones in her Hawkeye soccer career.
Personally, I just want to make sure I'm there for my team, stopping shots, just being the extra hand that they need, get the shutout.
This goalkeeper is definitely there for her team as she holds the school record in career shutouts with 26 and is third all-time with 254 saves. But if you ask Hannah Clark, teamwork makes the dream work.
Just having the back line in front of me, they've helped me a lot getting my shutouts. I couldn't do it without the whole team in front of me.
Starting every game this season, for Hannah, it's all about keeping her head in the game.
I mean, mentally, as a goalkeeper, if you're not getting too many shots, you have to stay engaged.
As captain of this team, Hannah Clark's biggest piece of advice for the newcomers?
Practice. If you work hard at practice, it'll play out for you during the game.
From the Iowa Soccer Complex, this has been Katie Reber, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
We'll see if the Hawks and their captain can turn their Big Ten play around when they come back to Iowa City for a pair of games against Ohio State and Penn State.
Speaking of the home game environment, I still can't get over the environment that was inside Kinnick Stadium this past Saturday.
Yeah, it was definitely one people are not going to forget for a long time. But head coach Kirk Ferentz is a strong believer in the 24-hour rule, where they're already focusing on Week 4.
The Iowa football team faces the Mean Green of North Texas inside Kinnick Stadium on Saturday.
And we'll now hand it off to the head man himself and what he's thinking after coming off such an incredible win and where he and the team moves forward from here.
I think there are two major things that we're looking at. First of all, we're trying to learn as much as we can about North Texas. and that's a work in progress. Obviously, they're a new opponent for us.
Yeah, the last 24 hours it's been crazy, but yeah, things are settling down. You know, we're already on to North Texas, and you know, so we're just you know, moving forward and just figuring out how we're going to beat this North Texas team, honestly.
Ferentz also talked a lot about going against a familiar foe, Dan McCarney.
McCarney is the current head coach of North Texas, but is pretty familiar with the Hawkeyes. He spent 11 years as a head coach with the Iowa State Cyclones.
That does it for Mark and I on this Tuesday night, but Wednesday we'll explore Dwayne Banks Field in the fall and how the baseball team is looking early.
Back to you guys at the desk.
That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out tomorrow night or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.